Good morning, students. Welcome back to our economics class. Today, we are going to start with our new chapter. Like in previous videos, we have done with national income, right? The important questions from national income chapter, that is LAQ, SAQ and VSAQs we have done in our yesterday's class. So today, I'm going to start with a new chapter, that is theories of distribution. In this chapter, you are having an LAQ, that is Keynesian theory of employment. Compulsory question for LAQ means it is your choice. If you want to prepare with that, you can prepare, or else you can leave that in choice. I'll explain that in tomorrow's class. Today, I'm going to explain you the very important SAQs from this chapter. Compulsory SAQs from this chapter, I'm going to explain you today. Okay. So today we are going to start with our new chapter, that is theories of income and employment. So your new chapter is theories of income and employment. So in these theories of employment and public finance. So this chapter, first I will start with SAQs. Why? Because LAQ will do it in next class, because it is an optional. You can read or not, but these SAQs compulsory, you have to prepare. Okay. So in this, we are going to discuss today with the public finance. Okay, so in this topic, we are having public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt, which are compulsory and important for your 5 marks. From exam point of view, I'm telling, they are very important for 5 marks. Okay, so here, first, let us discuss what do you mean by public finance. Public finance means here, the finance of the government. So here you can say public finance means what? Income and expenditure of the government, that is of the public authority. Income and expenditure of the public authority is called as public finance. Means here you see public authority means who? Government. Government will be earning the income from various sources. Means government receives the income from different sources. That is called as the income of the government, and government spend the money on various activities. Government will spend the money on various activities. We call it as expenditure. So the income and expenditure of the government. Government is what? Government is a public authority. Government is a public authority. They work for the sake of people. So, government in the country, if you see, central government or the state government, they will earn income from different sources, and they spend the money on various activities in the country. So, like that, a government will have income as well as expenditure. So the income and expenditure of the government is called as public finance. Okay. So in this, we are having 3 components of public finance. 3 components of public finance. One is public revenue, then public expenditure, public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. These are the 3 components of public finance. So generally tell me, what do you mean by public finance? Public finance means it is the income and expenditure of the public authority, that is government. Income and expenditure of the government. Okay. So the income which is received by the government is called as public revenue. Income from various sources, like in the form of taxes, government will receive the income. in the form of government, various sources, they have to earn the income. Whereas public expenditure, here they will spend expenditure on public, means that is called as public expenditure, means what the governments will spend on various activities, spent on various activities such as they will give scholarships, they will give pension, government will maintain security, that is police, defense, army, and all government will maintain. For them, the expenditure, the amount will be spent by the government. So that is called as public expenditure. And debt means what? When income is less than expenditure, government borrow funds from various sources. That borrowings are called as public debt. Okay. So now see, public finance is the income and expenditure of the government. The income of the government is called as public revenue. The expenditure, the amount spent by the government on various activities is called as public expenditure. And here we can see the income, when the income is less than expenditure, or when the income is not sufficient to spend the money, then that is called as, then they borrow the funds from various sources, which we call it as public debt. Okay, so this is all about your public finance. Now let us see one by one what are the sources of public revenue and expenditure and debt. So here, the first important 5 marks question is sources of public revenue. Sources of public revenue. Generally, if you see, what do you mean by public revenue? Revenue is what? The income. So, income earned by the government. Public authority, we say public authority is nothing but who are working for public. That means government, right? So, income earned by the government from various sources. What is public revenue? Public revenue is the income earned by the government from various sources. That is called as public revenue. Okay, now we can say this revenue is divided into 2 categories. Public revenue is divided into first tax revenue, right? Then next one, non-tax revenue. So see here, public revenue, the 2 types of public revenue. In what sources they will earn the, in what sources they will earn the income, how the revenue, how the government receives the revenue. First from tax revenue in the form of taxes. Next one is in the form of non-taxes. Okay. So here, tax revenue. Revenue received through collection of taxes. Revenue received through collection of taxes. Revenue received through collection of taxes is called as tax revenue. Okay, both central government and state government collect the taxes. Both central and state government collect taxes from various sources. Okay, that is called as tax revenue. See, what do you mean by tax revenue? Tax revenue is the revenue received through collection of taxes. Both central and state government collect taxes from various sources. Okay, now in these tax, we are having 2 types of taxes. One is direct tax. Direct tax. Direct tax is what? What the public will, taxes imposed on individuals and companies based on income and expenditure. So, taxes imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure. Based on their income and expenditure is called as direct tax. So you see here how we can say this. So here we can say direct tax is what? Taxes imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure. Means when the individuals earn income or when the companies are earning the income, they have to pay certain tax to the government directly. Such tax is called as direct tax. Or in simple terms, you can see that when the individuals or companies are paying the tax directly to the government in the form of income tax. So, example for this direct tax, income tax. Right? Income tax we are having. Then next we have wealth tax, estate duty. Right? Income tax we have, wealth tax or property tax we are having, which we pay directly to the government. So this tax is imposed on individuals depending on how much of income people are earning, not only individuals, but the companies. So the tax is imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure. Also on wealth and property also, tax is imposed on individuals and companies. So the example for direct tax is income tax and wealth tax. Is it clear? Now, second type of tax we have. Second type of tax we are having, that is indirect tax. Indirect tax is what? We don't pay directly to the government. Means it is not imposed on individuals' income. It is imposed on goods and services. Okay. So the tax which is imposed on goods and services is called as indirect tax. Tax imposed on goods and services is called as indirect tax. See the difference between direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure. Okay. Whereas indirect tax, tax imposed on goods and services. Goods and services means how much amount of production is done in the production in a firm. Depending on the tax will be imposed. So tax imposed on goods and services, like we have excise duty, customs duty. Right? Now at present, all indirect taxes are combined into one tax, that is GST. So all indirect taxes are combined into one tax, which we call it as GST. Okay. Goods and service tax. So the taxes imposed on goods and services is called as indirect tax. The indirect tax which is collected in the country right now, we call it as GST, goods and service tax. Okay. Now, let us see what is this indirect tax here. So, if you see, what is GST? GST is a combination of all indirect taxes. Combination of all indirect taxes. Earlier, a firm has to pay all the indirect taxes such as excise duty, customs duty, service tax, value added tax, all these taxes were there. Now, all indirect taxes are merged into one tax, that is goods and service tax. So now, or depending on production of goods and services, firms need to pay goods and service tax. Okay, now these goods and service tax is divided into GST, means the different slabs are there for GST. The different slabs are, you can see the slabs, that is 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28% of tax they have to pay on production of goods and services. So the indirect tax GST is paid on production of goods and services, and the tax rate is 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. So this GST, again, it is divided into state GST, right? State GST collected by central government, collected by state government on intrastate. State GST is collected by state government. CGST, which is collected by central government. Collected by central government. Then IGST. We have IGST. IGST, interstate GST, collected by central government for interstate sale. IGST is also collected by central government for interstate sale. Okay, so these way in GST, we have SGST, which is collected by state government, CGST collected by the central government, IGST, integrated GST, which is collected by central government for interstate sale. Okay, so these way GST is an indirect tax which is levied on our goods and services. So what are the tax revenue in the country? Tax revenue is the income which is earned by the government in the form of taxes. So these taxes are divided into direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax is which is imposed on income and expenditure of individuals, whereas indirect tax, it is imposed on goods and services. Indirect tax is imposed on goods and services which are produced by the firm. Okay, so this is GST. So the tax revenue is divided into direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax in the form of income tax, indirect tax in the form of GST. Now, next we have, apart from tax, we are having non-tax revenue. So what is this non-tax revenue? Our public revenue is divided into tax revenue, non-tax revenue, right? Non-tax revenue in the form of taxes, income will be collected, income is generated by the government. From non-tax revenue means apart from taxes, how government will earn the income. So first one we have administrative revenue. Government collects the revenue by giving certain administrative services. So government will receive the income by giving certain administrative services such as license fees or penalties and challenges which are imposed on violation of the rules, regulations in the country. They charge certain fees. Okay, so that way when they perform these administration, they will charge some amount. That revenue is called as administrative revenue. Another form of non-tax revenue is commercial revenue. Commercial revenue means government will make goods and services they sell them in the market in order to earn profits. Like government companies we are having, same like business they will be doing. Like we have BHEL, right? So where the companies are working, they will produce the goods, they sell them in the market, and they do the business. So such type of revenue is called as commercial revenue. Next, another source of income is loans and advances. Loans and advances, government will earn the income received from taxes, from non-taxes. It will receive the loans from the financial institutions. So when the government require money, they take the loans from the various banks and financial institutions, and they have to repay this after certain period of time. Another source of non-tax revenue is grants. See, here grants are different, loans are different. Loans they take from financial institutions and they have to repay back the loan. When the income is not sufficient, they take loan from the financial institutions. Grants are what? When the income is not sufficient, grants will be given for a specific purpose. Means these grants need not be repaid back. The difference between loans and grants is loans we have to repay back, whereas grants we need not repay them back. Okay. So need not be repaid back. Grants are given by central government to the state government to the local villages, gram panchayats and all, and from the world, central government will receive the grants. So grants, like we can say flood relief fund, okay, or educational fund. Now you see, you have UNICEF. UNICEF throughout the world, they are working for children education. So children education funds, such funds for certain purpose, for development activities in the country, when funds are given, or when the income is received for particular development activities, which will not be repaid back, are called as grants. So these grants are again divided into general grant and specific grant. These grants are divided into general grant and specific grant. So you can see here, what is non-tax revenue? See, non-tax revenue means government will receive revenue not in the form of taxes, but from various other sources, such as administrative revenue. By providing administrative services in the country, they receive like fees, penalties, challans, all these will be collected by providing administrative services. Commercial revenue, they do like a business, like government companies will be set up where they make the products and services, they sell them in the market and they earn the income. That is one source of income to the government. Loans and advances. Loans, government get, if the income is not sufficient, government will take loans and advances from financial institutions, which they have to repay back after certain period of time. Whereas grants are the income which is received by the government from various departments, like central government give grants to state government. From the world, various institutions, government will receive the grants. So these way, grants which need not be repaid back. It is not like a loan. It is like a fund for development activities. So these grants are divided into general grants and specific grants. Okay, general grant for general purpose, for general development purpose or something like that. Specific grant means only for a specific purpose, like girls' education or health in a particular area. Like that, specifically when we mention, that is called as specific grant. Okay, so these are the sources of So your question will be sources of public revenue. So what are the sources of public revenue? There are two sources. One is tax revenue and the other one is the non-tax revenue. Tax revenue is revenue received through collection of taxes. Both central and state government collect taxes from various sources, and the taxes are divided into two types. There are direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure, whereas indirect tax imposed on goods and services such as our GST. So tax revenue. Next you have non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue, we have administrative revenue, commercial revenue, loans and advances, grants. So these comes under non-tax, means how government is receiving the income. They receive the income either in the form of taxes or in the form of non-taxes. Non-taxes we have administrative, commercial, loans and advances, and grants. So these are the sources of revenue. This is important, compulsory for your 5 marks question. Okay, so after this question, one more important question for 5 marks. Sources of public revenue. Now the second question is your 5 marks question. List the items in public expenditure. The second question, which is in public finance, that is public expenditure. Public expenditure, it is the expenditure incurred by the government on various economic activities. So what is public expenditure? The expenditure incurred by government on various economic activities. So the expenditure incurred by the government on various economic activities is called as public expenditure. Means here you see how the government will do the expenditure. Generally, we can see in our country, government give certain amount for various activities, like government employees will be there. They have to pay the salaries to them. Government is providing the security to the public in the country through police, that is internal security. Through police department, they have to pay the amount to them, that is maintained by the government. Army, defense, right? Along with that, government is providing pensions to the people who require them, and they are providing scholarships to the students also. So these all expenditure that is incurred by the government on various activities is called as public expenditure. Now we will see what are the items, means on what all the things government will spend the money. So the list of items where government is spending the money, you can just see here. Defense. Next, internal security. Internal security, that is police. Then economic services. economic services like agriculture, industry, power, transport, agriculture, industry, power, transport, communication, on all these things, government is spending their money. So we call it as economic activities, economic services, then social services for the society, what they are providing, education services they are providing, health services they are providing, broadcasting means through media or through internet communication they are doing. So for the society they are doing this. Then other general services, like tax collection, external affairs, etc. Tax collection, external affairs, etc. Then pensions to the old people. Next, subsidies are given to the producers when cost of production is more and making charges, cost of production is more but the market price is less. That time government will provide the subsidies. Okay. And apart from subsidies, they provide grants to state government, grants to foreign government. Next, loans to public sectors and loans to state government. Also, loans and advances to, we can say, to the foreign countries. When we take loans from other country, we have to give the loans to the foreign countries also. So, loans to public enterprises, loans to foreign government, then repayment of loan, and assistance to state government, on natural calamities or to improve the economy. Assistance to state government on natural calamities or to improve the economy. So see here one by one, where all the government will spend their money. Government will spend their money on various activities. Government will spend their money on various activities, which we call it as government expenditure or public expenditure. Okay, the expenditure incurred by the government on various economic activities. So, first is defense. Defense is what? To protect our country. It is providing the security in the country from various neighboring countries. So, defense is provided here. For defense, government will incur like defense equipments or to maintain atoms, atomic energy, everything which is required for the security of the country. Next, internal security. Internal security means who? Police, right? To protect the people within the country, government is maintaining police to provide security to the people. Then economic services. What are the economic services? Means in the country, government conducts agriculture, industry, power, transport, communication, science and technology, research and development. All these are also done by the government. So government will incur expenditure on these economic services. Government income expenditure on social service. Social service means what? Services to the society by providing health, education and all. So we have government schools, government colleges, government hospitals are there where they provide the education and health facilities to the public. So for that, government incurs certain expenditure. They will spend money for that. Next, other general services like government will maintain certain departments like tax collection department, external affairs department, right? So for all them are which are Ministry of Defense. So these all are expenditure which is borne by the government. Next, pensions. Pensions are given to the old people or physically challenged people. Pensions are provided by the government. Then subsidies are given. Subsidies are provided to the firms when cost of production is high but the market price is low. Government provides subsidy to make the production. And grants are given to the state government. Just now we have seen what are grants. Grants means funds which are given for development activities. So central government will give grants to the state government. Similarly, grants are given to the foreign government also, because when India need any grant, foreign governments will provide us. Whenever we are in need or for development purpose, foreign governments will give the grants. Similarly, we also have to give to the foreign governments. Loans to public sector enterprises, public sectors, public enterprises we are having in the country, government companies or public sector undertakings are there. For them, loans are provided by the central government or the state government. Loans to the state government, central government will spend the money in the form of loan to the state government. Means state government can take loans from central government. Then loans to the foreign countries. As we take loan from foreign countries, we should also provide loans to the foreign countries. Repayment of loans. Any loan which we have taken already, we have to repay that back. So it is also an expenditure for us. And assistance to the state government on natural calamities and to improve the economy. So this way, government will spend the money on various activities. See, this question you will get for 5 marks. Your question will be list the items in the list the items under public expenditure. Okay. So what do you mean by public expenditure? The expenditure incurred by government on various economic activities. So what are the various economic activities where all government will spend their money? Defense, internal security, economic services, social services, general services, pensions, subsidies, grants to state government, grants to foreign government, loans to public sector, loans to state government, loans to foreign countries, repayment of loans, assistance to state government on natural calamities or to improve the economy. So when you get this question for 5 marks, make sure that you write all these points. No need to explain these points. Just you write down as it is. How I have written on the screen, you just write down as it is. This question, it is carrying 5 marks. Just go through once. Okay, so just see the questions, what all we have discussed it today. First, your 5 marks important question is sources of public revenue. What are the sources of public revenue? What do you mean by revenue? Revenue means the income which is earned by the government from various sources. That is called as public revenue. There are two types of public revenue: tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Okay, tax revenue, the revenue received through collection of taxes by both central and state government. They will collect the taxes from various sources. So the taxes are divided into direct tax and indirect tax. So direct tax means what? The taxes imposed on individuals and companies based on their income and expenditure. That is called as direct tax. Indirect tax means what? Tax imposed on goods and services, right? So now at present, all indirect taxes is combined into one tax, that is called as GST, goods and service tax. Here we are not paying tax directly to the government, but we are paying tax on goods and services. We are paying that to the government. As an individual, I'm not paying tax GST directly to the government. When I purchase any commodity, from that certain amount of tax will be going to the government. Whereas income tax, I pay directly on my income. How much income I'm earning, depending on that income tax will be paid to the government. So direct tax, indirect tax. See the difference here. Direct tax, which is paid by individuals and companies based on income and expenditure. How much they are earning. Depending on that income, they pay the tax. Whereas indirect tax, what are the goods and services? What goods you are using? What services you are taking? On that we pay the tax. Okay, got the difference between direct and indirect here? So, this indirect tax GST is a combination of all indirect taxes. Like at present in the country, we are having 5%, 12%, 18% and 28% of GST. We have SGST, state GST, which is collected by state government, central GST collected by the central government, integrated GST, which is collected by central government for interstate sale. Next, we have non-tax revenue, means not in the form of taxes, but government will earn income from other sources, such as administrative revenue by providing administrative services, commercial revenue by doing the business, they will earn some income, loans and advances, when income is not sufficient to meet the expenditure, they take loans and advances from the financial institutions, and grants. Grants are the funds which are received for various improvements or development activities, or any natural calamities or natural disasters happen. That moment grants, funds will be received. Okay, so these are the sources of public revenue. Public revenue, sources of public revenue is divided into tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Tax revenue, direct tax, indirect tax. Non-tax revenue, administrative services, commercial revenue, loans and advances, and grants. So this is about our public revenue. Next, public expenditure. Government spend their income on various economic activities such as defense, internal security, economic services, social services, pension, subsidies, grants, loans, and assistance is given to the state government, or repayment of the old loans and all. So these all expenditure which is incurred by the government on various activities is called as public expenditure. Clear? So hope you understood this public revenue and public expenditure. One more concept is there, that is public debt, that we will do in next class. For today, whatever the questions I have explained here, just go through these one, because these are compulsory questions out of 3. Public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. compulsory 2 questions you will get from exam point of view. Okay. So just go through this one. So remaining will continue in tomorrow's class. Thank you.